The month of February is coming on strong, so are you freaked out because you're an influencer, entrepreneur, any form of business owner, and now you're overwhelmed by the blank page that is the upcoming month? Let me share with you my February-centric content marketing planning method, and if you use it, you'll save yourself a lot of overwhelm and frustration, especially while you try to balance your busy personal and professional life over and above your content planning, creation, optimization, and publication efforts. It's super easy, and it'll make sure you have both your relationship marketing and straight up sales-based marketing bases covered too. Okay, so here I am looking at my calendar for February without much of anything loaded onto it just yet. It doesn't matter if you use Google Calendar or you use any other kind of digital calendaring system or tracking system. Whatever works for you, just work it. Don't overthink things, overcomplicate things, or get super stressed about it because that doesn't help. Okay, so in the purple colored dates or events, what you're currently seeing are the holidays that, in this case, my Google Calendar has preloaded onto it. So that's fine. I'll just leave those there. That might inform whatever content marketing I do organically, what I create on my own and publish immediately after on those dates, anything that I might say in the live streams that I do on those days, anything that I'll have done in advance and scheduled out in terms of content, whether I'm creating it from scratch or through the popularity plan for February, which is my digital download asset pack that's loaded with 100 or so graphics in it, plus templates and or swipe files inside of it for a weekly email in the month of February, as well as 15 swipe files for social media post captions that go with some of the graphics that might have to do with some of the days that you're currently seeing or other February-centric days that are in the popularity pack or whatever that I'll load in just a minute. So I'm starting with an almost clean template to work with from here with the holidays Google thinks is important. In my case, I just changed the color to purple for these days. You can assign these sorts of days whatever color you like. Okay, so next let's add in some more days that I have to take into account as I plan out my calendar marketing for the month of February. And especially if you're an entrepreneur parent, you're going to agree you're going to need to load these days in too when you're planning out your content for the month of February. These days are kind of more practical. I'll tell you what I mean in just a minute. Okay, in this case for the month of February, I only had a few dates to worry about this month when it comes to school, but if you're an entrepreneur parent, you really should think to do this. Just plug in any days when school is scheduled to be closed, whether it's a holiday, Superintendent's Day, whatever, half days from school, what have you. Number one, you should want to keep track of these days anyway, right? But number two, from an entrepreneur's perspective, a content marketing perspective, if you're like me, you don't have a professionally soundproof studio or what have you to work from. So you may want to or need to have a quiet house to record long or short form content in, or both. Do a live stream from, record a podcast in, etc. And if kids are home, not going to happen, or it's not going to happen easily and quietly, right? And or you want to spend time with your kids. I mean, don't you? So you don't want to be distracted with work. You don't want to have to go crazy. So you'll want to maybe plan ahead for when you create your content so that the days that your kids are home from school or they come home early, maybe in whole or in part, those are off limits, right? Or you'll have to create more content in batches, batch recording, batch creation, what have you, so that this way you don't have to sweat having to come up with content or staying on a publishing schedule for YouTube, a podcast, and so on. You'll have done the work ahead of time in advance these days and schedule everything out that you can so that when your kid or kids are home from school all day or they come home super early, you're fine, they're fine, everyone's spending quality time together instead of you shushing them all day long, or you're getting a headache because you can't concentrate. Fail to plan, plan to fail. All right, let's move on to calendar pass 3. All right, I always tell my students if you want to make more money as an entrepreneur, you have to make more offers. And if you want to be taken seriously as a business, you have to sell. You're helping your clientele to solve problems and or satisfy desires. So selling is helping. Entrepreneurs are paid to help people solve their problems, to get out of pain and into pleasure. So you gotta plug in the dates of the sales you want to have, product launches you're gonna do, affiliate marketing campaigns you'll focus on, sponsorship deals when you're creating content for them live or pre-recorded or both, and you have it all scheduled for deployment. No matter what business model you're running, creator, influencer, products, services, whatever you're selling, and no matter who you're selling it to, no matter what, you should have at least 2 sales-based or income-producing promotions a month at a minimum. My 6- and 7-figure clients are obviously doing way more than 2 sales-based promotions or income-based promotions a month. Some are doing it every single week. They're having an income-based promotion, or depending upon their business model, it's daily. But let's get real. You only launch once a month or do a straight up sales-based promotion once a month, and how much money can you really make in most cases? So I've just plugged in 2 February-based sales-based promotions into my calendar here as a minimum. They're dark green or money green. And so now I know I've covered the minimum for when my sales-based activities are going to go down. And of course, I'll have to prepare as much content in advance as possible. Any sort of content to not just announce the sales, enrollment's open, cart's going to close on these days, sort of emails and social media type contents, live stream announcements, what have you. But I also have to keep in mind, and so should you, about creating content that will create intrigue, stir the pot, and warm things up for your audience members and email list, VIPs, ideally, before you just go launch headlong into sell. I bet if you do that more and more often, your sales will get better and better and better. So you have to plan for all of that in advance too. On to calendar pass number 4 for February. Okay, calendar pass number 4 is simple. I want to make sure that I'm loading in any birthdays, birthday parties, anniversaries, special events, weddings, showers, days for religious observance, anything like that into my calendar, so that just like with the school closure days, what have you, I know when I'm not available to do things live in terms of content marketing, when I have to make sure I definitely have content created and scheduled out to cover those dates in advance. So this way, I'm still persistently and consistently content marketing and covering my base as an entrepreneur. This way, I keep whatever email list VIPs and brand-based social media following happy and well attended to with fresh content on the daily. Maybe on the weekly for things like YouTube and podcasts, but seriously on the daily for at least the top 2 social media platforms that are most important to your niche. You have to have a daily presence there, I argue. And on days where I have other commitments in my personal life, I can do them, be present, and not feel like one part of my life is suffering at the expense of another. So hopefully this advice helps you to do the same. On to calendar pass number 5 as we plan out our content marketing for February. Okay, last stop. I spoke about covering a social media content marketing daily base. Not everywhere, just the top 2 social media platforms that are most important to your niche. As you get more profitable, you grow a team, you can spread out to more and more social media platforms, if you like, to increase the public's discoverability of your brand and its offerings. But I am not advocating for you to do that all on your own immediately as you launch, your business, or when you're new. You will burn out and then you'll have cut your nose off to spite your face by overextending yourself. So you don't have to do that. As you can see on the screen here, though, I've got a lot of dates covered with this 5th calendar pass in this kind of banana yellow color. I'll go back in and load more, but just so that you can see, I've got February-centric holidays, tentpole events, special days, what have you, plugged in to serve as inspiration for my content creation on those days. Plus, I use my own popularity plan February pack to do a lot of the heavy lifting for me so that I'm not creating everything from scratch. We put out updated versions of the pack each year too to save a ton of time for not just me, but for my clientele who might themselves be busy solopreneurs, let's say. They're wearing all the hats and doing everything themselves. Or they have a team, but, one person's a video editor, the other person's the designer, but not everybody is creating everything from scratch, writing the copy, getting everything scheduled in, etc. So, as you can see in this banana yellow color, I've got a lot of bases covered, a lot of content that I can create or otherwise have pre-done for me and plugged in, and a lot of talking points to keep my brand-based community and email list that I currently have amassed or collected or grown happy. And I remain top of mind with them, but if I optimize my posts properly on these days, I can get on the radar screen of potential new clients in a variety of ways as well. Nice, right? Am I going to put out additional content on these days over and above like what I can already do through the popularity plan and stuff? Sure I am, but I have a team to help me edit videos and design more graphics on top of anything I want to do myself. If you don't have that, you've got to load in additional dates and times into your content calendar where you yourself have roped off time to batch plan, batch create, and or record and batch schedule content. With or without the popularity plan, you need to do this, right? So you might have another color on your calendar for the time for your batch creation process, let's say. You just have to plan for all of that extra work then and follow through on the work that's required. Keep your dates, keep your promises to yourself and your business, right? And then you can keep as many days as possible plugged in with content, again, on no more than the top 2 social media platforms for your niche, especially if you're first starting out. So, look, hey, if success was easy, everyone would do it. Am I right? So I didn't say any of this stuff is easy, but it can be a whole lot easier on you personally and or professionally if you plan ahead and leverage anything you can. This method is one that you can use to cover all of your bases for relationship marketing, straight up sales-based marketing, all of it for February. And whether you're doing everything from scratch or not, at least now you have a blueprint for how your business is going to run throughout February. And you'll know how much content you need to do all of the marketing and selling you need for your business to succeed in that month too. I'm all about teaching influencers, entrepreneurs, all sorts of business owners, all about content marketing for conversions. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and watch this next video of mine that YouTube thinks you'd really like.